Hi, I'm Stephen Bayley. I was responsible for creating the original design museum in London. And when we did that, design was a pretty unusual subject, and the design museum helped popularize it. What do I mean by design? Well, I don't really mean this or that sort of affected knick-knack you find at the Milan Furniture Fair or a Tokyo department store. Design for me is the whole of the world around us. It's about the application of intelligence to ordinary things, the application of aesthetics to ordinary things. And an important part of the whole world of design is the idea of branding. Now, with branding, you often find people who say, oh, we're going to create a new biscuit brand, a new beer brand, a new whatever, and they think you can get a few graphic designers in and a few marketing consultants and create a brand. Now, what I've learned is this. You can't actually create a brand. Brands are things which actually evolve over time, like a fine old barrel of Madeira. I mean, a brand, it's been defined once by a great brand consultant as the intangible aspects of a tangible thing. A brand, it's about associations and expectations which all successful products have. It's not just a logo, it's about the theatre and the culture of all the things we use, whether they're clothes or food or cars or services. It's the things the consumer identifies with. I mean, the consumer identifies with the brand more than the product. It's the whole aura of expectations, the image, it's a promise. And the interesting, and I think worrying thing at the moment, is that the whole idea of brand is becoming under a sort of threat. One, from sort of health and safety legislation. Very specifically, what's happening is internationally, the tobacco companies are being forced to sell their products in generic packaging. It's generic packaging which is designed to be dull. In Australia, they chose a green colour for this generic packaging, which market research showed was the ugliest colour anybody could ever determine. And that's unusual in the history of consumer affairs, because normally the consumer wants to be seduced by beauty and delight, but now we have the deliberate imposition of ugliness. And what can say, God knows I'm no advocate of tobacco, but the logic is that if you're going to ban tobacco branding on health grounds, I mean, there are lots of other things which are still perfectly legal, which are also very, very bad for you. You think of sugar products, alcohol, petrol, motor cars. You can do yourself a lot of harm with all of these things. Okay, you look around the modern world and you see a lot that's extravagant, vulgar, unnecessary, wasteful, possibly even bad for you. Well, that's consumer culture. And consumer culture, it's about freedom. It's about freedom of choice. And freedom has a price, and maybe this is it. But who is going to be the person who takes away your freedom of choice? Perhaps legislation which is going to require us to have health warnings on cars, health warnings on sugar, alcohol bans. One day, if my worst fears are realized, this charming label which promises pleasure is going to be replaced by a label which will be deterrent and ugly. It'll look more like something you'd find on a nuclear weapon than on a bottle of something delicious to drink. Perhaps, the great first growth clarets will in future be sold with hideous, ugly, generic labels designed to deter rather than to delight. Now, I'm appalled at that world. I think people should take care of themselves, and I'm no advocate of, unhealthy activities. But what, to me, brands mean is it's about culture, it's delight, it's folklore, and brands make an enormous contribution to the economy too. If brands are under threat, both our culture and our economy are threatened too. Okay, what about cars? Cars, these are the ultimate consumer product. They're designed to be attractive, seductive even. But they also go fast and are very dangerous. They make dirt too. In my view, cars should carry a government health warning.